Well, hey now, folks. Good afternoon. It's 11 o'clock. It's actually a couple of minutes late. It's John Duffin here with Duffin Media and Duffin Coaching. Number one, I want to acknowledge anyone and everyone who is on the call today, live. And by the way, here's my ask, and I'll probably repeat this a couple of times. First and foremost, no, I started a couple of minutes late today. It's actually going to tie really nicely into the topic at hand, but I don't like making people wait. So I'm really sorry to make anyone and everyone wait here. Okay. So that's number one. You shouldn't have to wait or wait for me. And number two, I'm going to say this. If you're watching me on Facebook Live, or if you're watching me on LinkedIn Live, or if you're watching me on YouTube Live, great. Thank you. I get to see a lot of the comments that come into the chat, right? So YouTube, not yet, but Facebook and LinkedIn, I do. So here's what I'm going to say. Number one, which is this. Drop a comment. Let me know that you're here. If I can see it, I promise you I will respond to it. And just know that, like I said, we can make this highly interactive, but you're under no obligation to do anything. So here's the deal, right? So my 3 top tips over the last couple of days, and it's going to continue over the next several days. I deliver 3 proven tips to help you optimize your communications. All right. So that's the whole purpose here. Speaking of purpose, I want you to remember this expression from today. If you remember this expression, it'll be a good way to pull you back to these 3 tips. Because for me, anytime, but especially these days where there's so much going on, here's the expression, right? Tip number 1, right here in front of you. Singleness of purpose. Again, I'm going to repeat it. Singleness of purpose. There's the first tip of the day. Singleness of purpose. What do I mean? Everything that we do, everything should be the element of our focus. None of the background noise, as little and up to 0 when we are communicating. Why? Because honest to God, it impacts the way that you think, it impacts the way that you carry yourself, and it impacts the way that you sound. So if you remember nothing else from today, we're talking singleness of purpose in the communication. So what I've been doing, 3 top tips every day, including today, and I didn't want anyone to wait. So the number 1 tip, remember the singleness of purpose. What's the format? I typically give at least 3 situations that I have either observed or have happened to me directly, and then a solution, and then 3, the actual takeaway of the tip, what you can do. So that's what we're looking at here. The singleness of purpose. Let me give you an example as to how this plays. So, singleness of purpose. I'm going to share with you this. One of my favorite people in the world. She was really one of the best managers I ever had. God rest her soul. Her name is Karen Graham, and she's not with us any longer. But I'm telling you, she's amazing. Oh, my God, Chris. Love that you are here. Nice. Hello, right back at you, man. So think of, like I said, my friend Karen Graham, friend, colleague, mentor, superior boss. Here was the situation. I remember this. Now, this is an old enough story where we were still carrying BlackBerries around. If anyone's old enough to remember those things, thank God they went away, right? But we got our big stupid BlackBerry and our big stupid phone and our computer. Katie Jordan, hello is right. And so you just were submerged with things. And I remember being in Karen Graham's office. We were going over, which was my number 1 client. And it was a situation with my number 1 client, and we were trying to come to a resolution. So the 2 of us are going to put our brains together, come up with a solution to help the client, right? So I go into the office, and this was like hallowed ground, right? Because Karen was getting besieged by people all day, every day, right? So I go in, and I have my computer and I got my phone and I got my BlackBerry, and she's trying to get to the bottom of the situation. And I'm explaining it. And typically I don't use props, but I'm going to use one right now. So I'm explaining it, and it's like, okay, right, all right, yeah. So, and then it's like, oh, hey, by the way, blah blah blah. Other client needs blah blah blah. Blah, blah. Oh, by the way, but here's what she says to me. She's like, okay, John, do you want me to focus on the matter at hand, or do you want me just to talk to you? I'm like, what? So I'm all hurt feelings and weird. And I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, what's her deal? She can't do two things at one time? God almighty. I'm actually thinking she's the problem, right? Not me, obviously, because I'm trying to stay ahead of the curve. And I'm going to handle every situation simultaneously. Here's what happens as it relates to your voice. I get all weird and defensive. Now I'm like, no, I just want to make sure that. Blah, 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 blah. So that, and I'm exaggerating, but I'll bet you I sounded just like that, which makes you sound whiny, defensive, weird. So I came to realize over time, Karen was one of the best managers that I ever had. And the reason was that singleness of purpose. What she was able to do, she had a million gifts, but to me, this was the best one, which was she could laser focus on a situation. Now, what does that do? Drop it out in the comments. If you are focusing on a singular situation, do you think that's helpful or harmful? Here's what I learned. It's wildly helpful. Wildly helpful, because those situations are just going to happen, right? So how do you circumvent it? I'm going to give you my second tip for the day, which I love. By the way, a lot of this has to do with the setup. We've talked about the pregame prep in other coaching sessions. And by the way, I do leave the replays up for a certain amount of time. So you don't have to watch these sequentially. You do not need to. Yeah, Katie, I would say helpful as well, too. It just was. I didn't know it at the time, but I'm going to coach everyone here. It is wildly helpful. So first solution, number one, which is this. How do you go to that singleness of purpose? Here's a tip. Give yourself a 5-minute break if you're able between situations. If you want to make them on the hour, great. You might be like, oh, I have no time because I have a 9:30 and a 9:50 and a 10:20 and a 10:50. Here's what I'm going to say you do have control over. You have more control over your calendar than you think. So what could you do with a 3 to 5 minute window in between situations? What could you do? If you had the ability to be able to give yourself the gift of time, here's what you could do. You could put yourself into the right momentum. Tip number 2. Hey, you might be noticing today, by the way, I'm not all slidesy. I'm going to make an offer at the end in regards to the written part of this. I'm doing this very intentionally without slides for this specific reason. I want us to focus on us and the matter at hand, right? So tip number 2, if you give yourself that 3 to 5 minute window in between appointments, calls, or a series of calls, or whatever it happens to be, you can focus on yourself. You want a quick out? Here's another reference person I'm going to work with today as well, too. I typically reference a lot of people. Why? Because none of us have to go this alone, right? If you're lucky, you're going to either meet, work with, help, encounter, read, research about people that help you in the cause. So easy tip number 2. You want to try breathing technique? I'm going to do it. It's going to look big and stupid and sloppy, but I'm going to do it anyway. So here's your second tip. And I'm calling it just breathe, but it's breathe with purpose. All right. So reference Joseph Dowling. He is a clinical psychologist. He's a sports psychologist. He has written a book published called Zonefulness. He has worked with some of the major universities and pro teams in the world. And here's the breathing technique. It's the old school Navy SEALs breathing technique. So I'm going to ask you, do you have 16 seconds? Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. You have 16 seconds. Well, I'm in a conference room. Go into the restroom, right? Do this in your car or before you walk into the next situation. If you're lucky and it's a Zoom or a phone call, don't make the phone call before you do this. Are you ready? Go. You set the timer. 4 seconds. Breathe in. Hold for 4. Exhale for 4. Big and sloppy. Hold for 4 more. What does that do? Okay, here's the science. The Navy SEALs breathing technique is actually done by the Navy SEALs. It pulls people out of a panic situation by increasing the oxygen flow, which enhances the blood flow, which gets your brain clearer. It's done to pull people out of actual life and death panic situations. Now, is your next proposal, sales call, a life and death panic situation? Well, it might be to you. It might be to you. So I'll never forget. I'm walking into my first of thankfully a lot, my first important sales presentation where it was like this, there's multiple people and I have to be able, and I'm thinking, I got to close this deal. I'm a wreck. This happens a lot. Folks, raise of hands. Hello. Yeah, I'm not going to see your hands. But if you drop a note in the comments, have you ever been nervous before a sales presentation before? Have you ever been nervous before an important conversation? If so, just type nervous in the chat, or at least yes or no or something. I have, and I still get there because I want to pull all my personal baggage along for the ride, right? So meanwhile, you want another science tip? I am not a scientist, but I'm going to make a suggestion here, which is this. Your brain, and I've learned this from psychologist Joseph Dowling, can act like a lighthouse. And even if something is not wrong, you might have, like a lighthouse, your brain looking to seek and scan to find whatever problem it can focus on. You don't help it by playing around with your emails or scrolling social media before a call. The singleness of purpose, as it relates to both of these tips, you want to center before you begin, right? That's why you use the breathing technique. You're increasing the blood flow. You're increasing the oxygen levels. As you do, I guarantee you, your voice sounds it. Have you ever heard someone, I'll ask an example. Have you ever heard someone come into a presentation hurried, 2 different terms, hurried, sorry I'm late, sorry I'm late, oh, and the traffic was awful, and how does that sound? Nervous, full of distractions, right? Absolutely. It sounds bad. Here's the deal. As I keep repeating, anytime you hear me, distractions are death as it relates to important business conversations. So distractions are, you take my mind off of it by bringing something else in, intentional or unintentional. People hear that in your voice. So you come in sounding nervous. You come in carrying baggage. You come in worried if I don't get this deal, I'm not going to hit my goal and I'm not going to hit my quota. Okay, now let's ready to go. And they hear it in your voice. When I talk about optimizing your communications by leveraging your voice, remember the first thing is this. Everything, if you do nothing else today, right? Starting today, starting in about 10 minutes when we break, not even 10 minutes. Everything is a singular task. Do it. Put your whole body in it. Do it. Complete it. Check it off. Move to the next one. If you are able on every one of those activities to give yourself a minute or two to do the breathing, get the oxygen in. Oh, here's a secondary person that I follow. I'm going to call it tip 3. It's technically a bonus one. It's also a breathing technique. Here's the big, sloppy, non-negotiable as I'm learning. Gary Brecka from 10X Health. He's trained Grant Cardone, Dana White. He's unbelievable. Doctor, long-term doctor, medical expert. And he talks about the non-negotiable of breathing. So I gave you 16 seconds. Here's another one if you have about a minute, not even, right? I'm just going to do a couple because it's kind of sloppy and weird. Don't do this in the conference room, right? You might want to save this for when you are in some degree of privacy, right? Because here you go. Big sloppy breathing that is just to get the airflow, get your head cleared so that I can sound and be right there with you. Not bringing in 900 unanswered emails, 12,000 social media posts, a sea of text messages that are all right here, logged into your frontal brain, right? Right there. People see it and feel it. So sloppy breathing, right? Real heavy, okay? Breathe in, and you're letting your belly out when you do this, okay? Exhale with everything you got. Gross, right? And wildly effective. Wildly effective. Do that 3, 4, 5, whatever, right? You're just clearing out the baggage. What does it do? All of this is also coming out of your throat. Yeah, your brain's cleared. You can focus. I can see and react to you more quickly, which allows me to engage. Right. It allows me to better engage. But it also clears the airflow from my throat, from my vocal cords, my vocal folds. And so I can speak a little bit more slowly. I can speak with more natural enthusiasm. That's the key, by the way. Singleness of purpose, natural engagement. And here's the third, what I'm going to say, here's the legit third tip, right? Which is make certain if you are in the room and you start to bring back something that's not directly involved with the presentation, the proposal, the client situation, whoever you're speaking with, if someone wants to come to here, right? Whether you're sitting or standing, one of the things I preach is what I call game day physicality, right? So I'm not typically known for my physical training. There's other people way better. But here's the third tip of the day, right? Which is, how do you align your body so you don't start sounding nervous and tense and, oh my God, as soon as this meeting's over, oh my God, I got to call that client because they're aggravated about. Okay, I'm already giving you a clue, right? Your body gives all the signs of tension. It also gives all the sciences of disinterest. The worst thing that can happen, and it's the same situation, which is your audience, the client, your colleagues, the boss, the interviewer, they see nerves. You don't think so, but they do. So, what can you do? I remember, all right, here's the third that I'm going to say. We'll say what I observed because it happened to me. I was leading a sales meeting and I was carrying a lot of personal stuff. It was a time in my life where I had a lot going on and a lot of it not good. I won't bore you with the long version, but I will say the really brief version is this. So I happened to be in recovery. I had just had a really bad car accident that led to that process of getting help, right? And I switched companies and went to another company, and I'm leading the sales meeting. So here's what's going on in the back of my mind. Like in my mind, oh my God, am I going to lose my driver's license? Oh my God, am I going to, lose my freedom? I have a dear friend who also passed away, Kim Desibas, God rest her soul, one of the coolest people in the world, business leader, icon in terms of radio executive management. And she was the one that would be like, oh, John, you're not going to live in a dumpster. I know you think you are, but you're not. I did. So I'm carrying this with me, literally like two big boulders on my shoulders. Now I'm going to go lead the sales meeting. Not funny at the time at all. Not funny at the time. But I remember I go and one of the salespeople literally, and I quote, asks me this, why are you so angry? Angry, right? Here's my answer. I'm not angry. That is a real exchange. So I don't know if ever in my life I did that, but I can tell you I did 100 times sound tense or disinterested because I was carrying things along for the ride, right? So all of that would show up with me. Anyone has ever encountered that? Bringing your life, your baggage, your stuff to the client who doesn't either know you or know the situation or can help you? Yeah, everybody all the time, right? This playing with your text messages, playing with your social media, playing with the voices in your head. Here's your next tip and the last one of today. So I'm not bludgeoning you, right? You've got two different breathing techniques. Remember that sense of coming in and focusing on that singleness of purpose. All of this is to clear some room here, okay? The only thing I ask when you get caught in the situation, all right? Why are you so angry? And I was probably all like, right? Allow your body to help you. One of the best voice trainers I have worked with, Suzanne Solby, who trains a lot of current actors, has trained the entire casts of movies and specials and Netflix events. She's based locally in Philadelphia, but she was great with me when we worked together, reminding me of the urgency of your mind and body tying together, right? So I'm looking away for a reason. And I found it. Make sure that one of the things that I've got. So this book, Freeing the Natural Voice, written by Kristen Linklater. Okay. So here's why it matters. Your voice, your body all connect. And you'll be like, of course, duh. So, but here's what you can do. If you're bringing your nerves to the party, if you're bringing your family into the sales call, if you're bringing, what am I bringing for Thanksgiving? Oh my God, have I saved enough money for retirement? If you're bringing all that to the conversation and you catch yourself, here's how you get out of it. All right. And I call it your power stance. You can do this. I happen to be sitting right now, standing or sitting. You can do this. Okay. So you literally want to align your body. It's going to sound like your fourth grade teacher. Sit up a little bit straighter. What's happening? The science, your vocal cords, your vocal folds, your larynx are all opening up. Sit up a little bit straighter. Nothing exaggerated, nothing weird. Pull your shoulders back a little bit. Put a natural smile on your face. And do you hear the way that my voice changes? The cadence, the pace, the speed, the engagement. So that's all your body. So when your mind tends to go, and it can, and you're like, oh my God, am I bringing the turkey or the stuffing? Oh my God, I bet my 401k. I bet. Allow your body to help you. Just literally, it'll take a moment. And again, don't make it exaggerated, especially if it's an in-person situation. If you're standing by, I call it the power stance. Literally, use your feet. Like literally, put yourself into a situation where you sound like you are engaged. So pull your shoulders back a little bit, let your chest expand a little bit, let the airflow come naturally. And when you do, your body is now aligning to make sure that you sound on top of your game. And again, we're calling it optimizing your communications by leveraging your voice. And we're using the techniques so that you don't come up short. You do all this preparation, you do all of this background work, you've made the phone calls, you've gotten the appointment, you've got the meeting. Here's your big moment. Pardon me, what I don't want to have happen is for you to fall short 5 yards from the goal line. I just don't want, there's no need for it. You want to be able to optimize what you've done. You want to be able to engage people, enhance relationships. The distractions will kill you. So the summary today, and then I'll make you the quick offer, right? Number one, the summary. Remember the singleness of purpose. I'm doing that with my hands. The singleness of purpose. Every exchange should require all of you. The deal that you make with yourself is when this situation is done, I will then give all of my attention to that next situation. And whether that next situation requires a moment, an hour, whatever, give it. Then at that point, move to the next. The second tip, right, is simply this: allow natural breaks. You often have either control or agreement in setting times for phone calls, a series of phone calls, an appointment. It's an agreement. Can we meet at 2 p.m. on Friday? Could we make it 2:15? The odds are great that the client's going to say yes. They don't need to know so I can do my breathing exercises. Don't tell them. If it's a couple of minutes to get it together, just try, right? Then do basic, quick fix breathing. None of this replaces preparation. None of this replaces longer term meditation, which is a must. But I'm in situational today, right? Short term breathing, whether it's the Navy SEALs box breathing, 4, 4, 4, 4. There's my 4. Right? 16 seconds, or the 10x breathing, big, sloppy, all the way in, all the way out. Right? Couple of those, get the airflow going. And then if you're in the situation and you feel the nerves coming, go into a power stance, which allows your mind and your body and your voice to align. Big, full, engaged, natural. It helps you get out of the situation. Lastly, if you want to bring all your nerves back, go get them, leave them in the car. And when the meeting's over, go back to the car and, oh my gosh, wait a minute. Stepping outside helps me. I love it, Tommy Kenyon. Love it. Great to see you, bud. And thank you. All of that helps. Give yourself the gift of time. And time doesn't have to be an extraordinary length. Seconds you're talking about, literally seconds. If you've got more, take it. All right. So in the comments, I am literally just writing my email address, jd@duffinmedia.com. A couple of things that you would be able to accomplish with that being said, which is when you reach out to me, if you choose to reach out to me, right? I just want to make sure I did that correctly. I did. I can get you a PDF of the takeaways from today, and I will. Just literally send me a quick note, email, It could just say PDF. I'll know. So these tips for today, singleness of purpose, the 2 breathing techniques, the 2 references, Gary Brecka, Joe Dowling, the ability to be able to isolate situations, all of that, and the game day physicality, the book reference by Kristen Linklater, all of those would be on the PDF. This recording will be in replay, so you'll have that as well too. But just send me the email, and I'll know. I'll know that I can get it to you. And the second offer is this. Simple. Same email. If you haven't worked with me before, I always offer a 30-minute free consultation. Typically, what happens with that consultation is this. I explain more in depth how I can work. If you think there's more that you'd like to know, whether it's these topics, or any other topic, I can explain how I work in more depth. How it can work for you, whether it would be a group coaching situation or a one-on-one coaching situation. I don't often do one-offs, but I got to tell you that I do for a situation where a big meeting's coming up, right? And we can talk about that. But send an email. I'll know that you might want to go further, but you don't have to do anything. The only commitment that I made today was I wanted to go a half hour. It's important to me so that we can all go live our lives, practice some of this stuff. Here's the thing. When we connect again, let me know if you've tried any of these. Let me know how they worked. Were you able to isolate activities, the singleness of purpose? Were you able to incorporate a quickie breathing technique to get your head back in the game and your voice back in the game? Were you able to at least attempt an easy power stance? Again, sit up straight, like I said, like I'm talking to you, like a 4-year-old. Sit up straight, pull your shoulders back, smile a little bit. Were you able to do that? If so, let me know how it went. I love the engagement. I love the feedback. And folks, there you have it today. 3 quick tips with a bonus there, right? And opportunities. And you can know I am really grateful to all of you. I really am grateful for you for showing up, showing out, turning out. Means the world to me. John Duffin, Duffin Media, Duffin Coaching. Let's stay together, right? I'll be back tomorrow. We'll have some more fun. Have a great day, all. See you soon. Bye.